Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I am back for today's regular Wednesday video. And yeah, it's going up a little bit later than usual, late this afternoon. But it is because if you follow the channel for any length of time, you know that I've been covering different tech events like Apple's and Google's and Microsoft's events a little bit, or E3. And yeah, today was Apple's September 12th iPhone Apple Watch event thing, and I'll get into my thoughts on that in just a moment. As far as the channel goes, not too much to update there. I am going to, as I said in the August update video, I am going to kind of give you guys a few more bonus videos just because I do have a fair backlog of stuff, and I am recording new things as they come out as well that I do want to cover, some of which I want to cover in a timely fashion, so I'm not going to sit on those videos on that content. So like this week, yesterday I released a video, and tomorrow I'm going to release another video. As you know, I've covered many headphones on this channel, mainly Bluetooth, but I did the USB, the PX22s as well. But I've been on the search for really like a Bluetooth headset that I've really wanted for a while. And after a few years of searching, I think I've found a 1-2 combo that work pretty well. And I think I'm really happy with what I've finally found. So yesterday you had the Bluetooth Turbine, T3 Turbine headset, which is a cheap headset that sounds far better than it really ought to for the price. And tomorrow you're going to get to check out the Aftershocks, a new version of not the newest, but a new version of the Aftershocks that I think are far better than the originals I reviewed quite a while back on the channel. So next week I think I'm going to probably try to do some VR educational content or something like that. I've got a few accessible games I need to even play so I can record. And, you know, I got a whole bunch of stuff, pretty cool stuff coming for the month of October. So, yeah, there we go. So, anyway, yeah, Apple's Keynote. Oh, really quickly before, I know if you follow me on Twitter, at BGFH79, by the way, I've been talking a lot about game accessibility, and there's going to be some of that as well. Tomb Raider, or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is coming out this Friday, and I did get the game, as I mentioned on the channel earlier, because it has a whole slew of accessibility features that I really do want to check out, and I want to play that game. So I'm going to be covering that at some point in the fairly near future on the channel as well. I didn't even know it until like a day or two before launch, but the PlayStation 4 exclusive Spider-Man game, it also has a pretty cool set of accessibility features as well, and man, it makes me bummed that I don't have a PS4. You know, for this game, they're not doing a console exclusive, meaning, oh, just game consoles, and then we're going to port it to PC anyway. A lot of the Sony stuff is actually just PS4 only, like your God of War, the Spider-Man, The Last of Us, oh, that weird robot dinosaur game that I can't think of the name of right now, Horizon Zero Dawn. So, yeah, there may be, if I can find the money and find the time to play the dang thing, I may be trying to look at getting a PS4 of some sort in the future, leaning toward the PS4 Pro just because you might have better performance, but I'd like to look at their accessible stuff as well and support it. However, boy, everything is so expensive, and that leads me right into today's main topic, our iPhone and Apple Watch stuff here. I just have the Apple page loaded on the website right now. I was going to jump into a game for you guys, something to look at, but I'm going to try to keep this short. Because honestly, the event itself, I mean, for the last month and a half, I mean, there's been like nothing but just constant. Oh, this is leak, that leak. We know this, we know that. Oh, they changed something from 32 degrees to 31.831 degrees. It's the biggest news ever. Just constant feed of leaks and updates. So by the time the event actually happened, we pretty much knew everything, or almost everything, that they were going to really talk about. And I had personally hoped that they might talk a little bit more about the software. More iOS 12, more Watch OS stuff, maybe a couple surprises. But they didn't really do much of any of that. Started out with a weird Mission Impossible sequence. My first thought, whether somebody was trying to race to the Apple Keynote, their new stadium, weird airship plaza thing. And it was kind of dumb. But my first thought, hearing the Mission Impossible music, I'm like, their line of, oh, this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds or whatever. My first thought is, oh yeah, your wallet is about to destruct in 5 seconds because everything is going to be expensive as hell. And I was not disappointed in that fact. More on that later. But so yeah, they did their little spiel. Tim Cook came out, said, "We are Apple. We are the greatest. We sold a bunch of stuff." I forget what number it was, like some ungodly number of iOS devices sold and whatever. Just your typical, look at how cool we are, we're great. And the first really kind of meaty thing that they talked about is the new 4th generation Apple Watch, which you got a picture of it right here. There are things about it that do intrigue me. And if I didn't have an Apple Watch, I didn't break down and get one last year, I might have actually considered it. Although it seems like they have upped the price a little bit. So I think the bigger model, you come in a 40 and a 44 millimeter design. And so the bigger design, I think it's actually $100 more starting price. So I want to say like the 3rd gen was maybe $399. But it's like $499 this year. So everything is just getting a little bit more expensive. Now the difference is, like I said, you got this big edge-to-edge screen now. You really don't have a bezel on the top. They made a big deal of, how you'll get a few more items on the screen. They have these new watch faces that are like, oh, we've got a fire and a water and a, what was it, mist or smoke or something like that. Watch face, which, yeah, okay, it looked fine, but I mean, if that's your major selling point, you're going to make me spend more money for, pretty animated watch faces. Nah, no. They have new, and then they have other faces that have like all these new complications. So you can put like up to 8 or 9 complications on the watch face, which, and you can customize it. So like, do you want it to be, your notifications and all your updates and stuff, or do you want it to be fitness based, or do you want it to be like, weather, or you can put the certain favorite contacts in there. So there's neat stuff about that. And I don't know if a variant of that watch face is going to come, maybe not quite as many complications, but I don't know if that's going to also come to older generations like the Apple Watch 3rd generation and such. I don't know. But if I had to guess, probably not. So there's a lot of like aesthetic changes. It's a little bit thinner. They say it's about the same battery life, but they say like an 18-hour battery. But you get a little bit more fitness time out of it. Now, the couple things about the Apple Watch Series 4 that are legitimately pretty cool. I think the most interesting part of their presentation was the first thing they talked about. They have improved accelerometers and sensors and stuff in the new watch. And with the subtlety of the motions and stuff that they can detect, their really cool thing, I thought, was they can detect falls. So, you go, you fall and slip on the ice in the wintertime. Or you have somebody, the first thing I thought of was seniors. Everyone talks about, people seniors living at home, and, they're worried about a fall. Can they get to a phone to get help? So what happens is it detects like the motions that indicate like, that you did fall. And if it detects that you have not moved within a minute, it will call your emergency service. And it can also call, if you set up your emergency contact information, like for your friends and family, if you don't move in that minute again, in addition to emergency, it'll actually contact your emergency number. So like if you have a family member, a spouse, or a kid or relative or friend, whatever, and it'll let them know that something may have happened to you as well. That's actually a really cool feature. I mean, obviously you need to have the cellular for that to work, unless you had an iPhone. They had an iPhone as well, and if it was nearby, they could kind of tether it, that way and make a call. But if they were smart, what they really should do is they should somehow make very stripped down Apple Watch only plan for carriers, where you don't necessarily have a phone plan, but all it does is make contacts in the event of an emergency. Maybe you pay $10 a month. Maybe you pay, $20 a month. I don't know what like elder care like services cost, like the fall monitors, like you get a little button that you carry around. I know there are such things, but if it's anything like the jitterbug phones that have that kind of a thing, those things are freaking expensive. So if they're able to do it right, whether in combination with their iPhone, or if they could get a standalone watch cellular plan just for like that emergency, that could be a really, really cool thing. That was actually, thinking about all the health benefits of a watch like this, not bad. They also mentioned they got FDA approval, which was surprising. They got FDA approval for ECG heart monitoring, where I don't exactly quite know how it works, but like it uses your wrist from the back, your back sensors, and then you put your finger on the home button or the little crown, and you run this little test, this ECG test, and it reports. It somehow measures in about 30 seconds. It's supposed to measure your heart rate, and then it puts all that information in the health app, and it'll tell you like if you have normal heart rhythm or if you have some like arrhythmia or something like that. I don't remember all the terminology, but again, that's FDA approved. Before you'd always have to go to the doctor for that kind of a thing. Let's say that you have a worry that you have a heart condition, or you go to the doctor and maybe when you're there you're totally fine, and they you're not experiencing it there, so they can't measure anything. They could refer you. You say, hey, you may want to look into like an Apple Watch, and then you can monitor this over the next month or 2 weeks or a week or whatever it is. And then, they could have regular measurable information to go on. So those two things, especially health-wise, I think they're doing some smart things with the Apple Watch. I did forget to mention the digital crown also has like force feedback now. So like when you're turning the dial, like let's say you're using it to, turn it to go through tracks in a playlist or something, you'll get actual tactile feedback on that, and that's pretty cool. So there are things about it that I like, but I just bought the Apple Watch 3rd generation last year, and I think I've mentioned it on the channel before, but one of the things that I'm still sort of disappointed in, having bought the cellular model, is I was under the impression that more third-party developers would be able to do more with the watch untethered to the phone. So like, I want to check my Twitter feed. I don't want to just get notifications when I get a mention or a retweet. I would like to check my Twitter feed. And I would, just push push my Twitter feed that way. I would like to be able to have a mini version of Audible or Google Music, well, soon to be YouTube Music, but I would, if I go for a walk and I, use my AfterShokz or my other headphones, pair it up with my watch, I would just like to be able to stream some media from my watch. Uber and Lyft, like Lyft took away a lot of apps have taken away native support for the watch, and all you can really get is notifications right now. And there was some talk at WWDC about some sort of like web extensions or something or other where like it's supposed to add some third-party functionality back, but I don't know if it's to the extent which like what I want. So I just don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sell my Series 3 for a lot of money. If I were to sell it, I'm not going to get all that much out of it. And since the price of the 4th gen went up, I really don't see myself forking over a lot of money to upgrade the watch. I think until they really make the third-party system, like, oh yeah, you can stream Apple Music or you can do Apple things with it, but, God forbid you want to do something that Apple didn't make. It's kind of like the early iOS days where, like, if Apple didn't want you to do it, you just weren't doing it. Until that becomes a little bit better, I'm fine. I think I'm fine with what I have, unless I get some really crazy deal on a trade-in or something somehow. I think I'm going to stick with my Series 3 and hope that watchOS, what is it, 5 now we're up to? Hopefully that just adds some functionality to my current watch. And I should also mention that if you do have an existing Apple Watch, you don't have to re-buy new bands because all of them are compatible with the new version. That's pretty much all they talked about on the Apple Watch. I mean, it wasn't really... they didn't really talk about any cool new watchOS surprises or features. I mean, I know they have public betas and stuff now, so there's not really much to surprise. But that's really about it. So then we get to the meat of the event, or I guess you could call it the meat of the event. Now, I will mention they did not mention anything about Macs or iPads. Apparently, there's probably going to be an October event for that. And I'll talk a little bit about my general iPad thoughts at the end of this. So, as we expected, or as we pretty much knew, there are going to be 3 new iPhones this fall, all of which have ditched the home button. No more home button for you. I just learned after the event that apparently they're discontinuing the regular iPhone X as well, because these 3 newer versions of the, I was going to say homeless button, but there you go, or the homeless phone, but the lack of, whatever, you know what I mean. These 3 are going to replace the iPhone X. And you're not going to be getting any headphone adapter anymore. I did also read that before I forget to mention that. No headphone adapter for you anymore, so you better have one or you better go buy one for $10. So you have the iPhone XS, or I call it the XS. I thought X sounded cooler than 10. But yeah, and when you start talking about prices, XS is about right. You have I just did it again. The XS, which is a 5.8 inch screen phone. It's edge display, complete with the notch, which I still think is really kind of dumb. But it is what it is. They're all going that way, so pretty soon we're just not going to have a choice. 5.8 inch. Then you have the higher, or the highest end version, the XS Max. Not the Plus, because it's technically bigger than the Plus. So that was what they said at the keynote. They're like, well, if it's already a Plus size before, what's bigger than a Plus? So they go the Max, okay. So yeah, that is what they actually named it, the 10S Max. It's going to be a 6.5-inch phone, bezel-less display, pretty much, edge-to-edge display, with the stupid notch. But they're both OLED phones. They got a 12 megapixel, two 12 megapixel cameras on the back, and a 7 megapixel camera on the front. And they did talk quite a bit about their cameras, and like you can do this, like you take a picture and then you can adjust like the depth of field afterwards, which might be kind of neat. I'm not hugely into photography, or I don't know like how all that stuff works, but I mean it sounds like it could be kind of neat. But and you can, when you take video, you can also, on both models or all three models, you can get stereo audio recording if you're taking a video, so that's a plus. But yeah, so the iPhone XS Max, I keep wanting to say plus, 10X Max is 6.5 inches OLED. Now, both of those will come in, what is it, 64, 256, or a new 512 gigabyte model. And I looked at my phone not too long ago, just before we started knowing all this stuff, and I'm like, how much am I actually using? Space am I using? And if I were to upgrade, I would still go with the 256. You would think that, oh yeah, he's going to go for the 512. No, I think I could get by with even with everything that I do. I think I could get by with the 256 pretty well, because I still have a fair bit of space, and I can still use my phone comfortably with the 7 Plus that I have right now. Then you have the final version of the phone is not too much. It's not a significant downgrade, but it is a 6.1-inch phone, and they call it the iPhone XR. This is not OLED. This is an LCD display. It's kind of like what they did with their iPhone C series, like their 5C series. They're going to come in like 4 or 5 different colors. There's like a red and a blue one and a gray one and a gold one, and like I forget, there's like I think 5 different colors of it. And it's going to ship a little bit later. That's going to be in October. October phone. I want to say, like, I think you can pre-order it on the 13th, I think they said. We can pre-order the other ones if we want to. The 10S and the 10S Max, we can pre-order those this Friday, and then they're going to ship a week later. Now here's where we get into the pricing. So, boy, I was hoping, or we were hoping and maybe thinking that, you know, at least they would cut you a break on the XR model for price. You know, I was kind of hoping between at least entry level, or, you know, base gigabyte model, I was hoping that it would be between $500 and $600, because, you know, it's Apple, it's still going to be expensive, but, you know, a little bit of a break. But I want to say it's like starts at like $749, I think it was, like something like that, and then it goes up from there depending on your storage. And those only go up to 256. You do not get the 512 gig version with the XR. But then, ooh boy howdy, then you get to the 10S and the 10S Max, and you literally start at like, oh god, it was like $899 and then $999. So the middle of the road version without AppleCare, without anything else, is going to cost me like $1,100-$1,200 if I wanted to get one. And then, like I said, then you got to buy AppleCare. You buy something that expensive, you know, especially something that you're going to carry around with you that you have the potential to drop, and it's made out of glass, largely. You're probably going to want a warranty with it of some kind. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of torn, because with the new cameras and the image stabilization, the faster processor, again, I would love, even I said this last year, I wanted a phone with an OLED screen, because as a low vision user, I've seen many other OLED screened devices, phones, tablets, laptops, and I really like the way the displays, the colors just pop out more. They're really, really sharp. You know, you combine that with a good camera, and I would love, love, love to see somebody just, you know, not just throw a camera app up there, but I want to see like a really fine-tuned, a really polished magnifier CCTV app that takes advantage of the new processors, the new GPUs, the new cameras, the image stabilization, maybe some of the smart depth sensing stuff. You know, I wish somebody would, you know, and don't make a weird combination app like you get in some of these proprietary tablet devices now that I've talked about. You know, it doesn't have to play books and do magnifier and do text-to-speech. Just make a good magnifier app. You know, make the responsiveness very clear. You know, make when I move it across a page, don't blur out and flicker. Include several color modes. Include a freeze frame. You know, maybe let me save a picture. That's all it needs to do, but just do it super well. You know, when I choose white on black, I want it to be white on black. I don't want it to be kind of white on a kind of darkish gray faded background. I mean, I want it to be. I've seen some good standalone CCTVs, and you know, I talked about that Patriot tablet. I think I talked about it on the channel. I don't have one, but I've seen it. It's called the Patriot VRM. It's an Android tablet. It's running it's using a Samsung tablet that's actually one generation older than mine. So I know the camera is a little bit older than what even I have. And the software optimization that they did on it worked great because, you know, again, it's clear, it's responsive, and it looks, you know, in some ways it looks better than, you know, just some of your magnifier apps that you would go download from the Google Play or the Apple App Stores. And I would just love to see somebody, like I said, if you're an iOS coder and you're serious about making, you know, like coding a magnifier app and doing it well, you know, I have ideas. And I mean, like I said, I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, but like I sort of think I have a few theories on why some of those Android magnifiers, the ones that you specifically have to buy that way, and you can't just buy the app from the store, because essentially they are just apps. You get a different home screen or a launcher in Android's case, and then there's some apps on top of it. That's all it is. But the apps are optimized in such a way that they're actually done really well. And I would just love to see. I would pay $50. I would pay $100. Maybe even a little bit more, if there were an app that I could just go buy in the App Store and make it a universal app, please, because we actually have decent cameras on the iPads now with the flash, that I would love to be able to just bring my own device magnifier, you know. A really strong, clear iPhone or iPad magnifier. That's really the main thing I think that's left, is just to really make something that's comparable to a Ruby, that's comparable to some of these other tablet devices that I've seen. But back to the iPhone stuff. If I was going to get one, you know, like I said, I have a 7 Plus, which is 2 or 3 years old, I think. I skipped last year for sure, because it was the 8 and the 10. And I'm not opposed to some of the new gestures. Like I use the iOS 12 public beta on my iPad Pro. And they added some of the iPhone X gestures to the iPad, like the way you flick up or flick down to get to your control center or notification center or app switcher. Some of those things you can, if you have a home button, you can still do it that way, but if you want to do it all via the touchscreen gestures, you also can. And so I played with that a little bit, and I think I could get used to that. I think, yeah, it's weird at first, but I think I could get used to it. I think I would really miss the Touch ID. Because like I said, especially as a voiceover user, you don't have to look at the phone. I can reach right over across my desk and, unlock my phone, do a couple of flick gestures, do something with voiceover, done. They say that the Face ID is supposed to be faster in the new phones because, of course, they did. My main problem with today's event is that, yes, we knew everything leaked out beforehand, but also the problem is, it was basically, I said this even on Twitter shortly after the event ended, it was basically a glorified, it was a glorified spec presentation. They didn't talk about, oh, this is why you want, this is why, or this is how you will use this new power, this is how you will use these new features, other than their camera. It was just this, like, it was just this spec listing of, like, oh my god, look at how cool we are, we've got like 10 billion transistors, and it does this number of calculations a second, and it has this many pixels per blah, 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 blah. I can read that in 2 minutes from a spec sheet. If you're going to bother to do a presentation, make it a presentation. Show me why I should care. Show me why. Demonstrate to me why I should pay $1,000 or more for your top-of-the-line phones that take away some of the features that I like, that I'm used to, and that I think I will miss. Demonstrate to me why. And they really didn't. They just, like I said, they just praised themselves, shoved out a whole bunch of tech specs, talked a little bit about the camera. The two cool things was those things I mentioned about the Apple Watch. But their phone stuff was just kind of boring. I mean, yeah, they had a couple games and some basketball augmented reality thing that I really didn't care about. But, I already knew that I wanted to play the Elder Scrolls Blades. I'd already talked about that on the channel, so that'll happen no matter what device I have. They just didn't sell it. Yet, on the other hand, like I said, I do want an OLED display. I love my 7 Plus. I love the bigger screen. I love having a, bigger thing that I can use as a magnifier. I use it every day. And I think that would be fantastic to have, because one of the reasons I didn't want the 10 was the screen was actually a little bit smaller than my 7 Plus at the time. So it's like, why do I want, even though it's OLED, why do I want to get a smaller screen? Which I don't. But if I was going to get one, I want to get the bend over model, it'd be like an $1,100 iPhone XS Max, because I want the OLED screen. I want the bigger display. I'm really torn. I don't know if I'm going to get one. I mean, my friend at work, he's like, well, you may as well pre-order it if you're at least thinking about it, because if you really don't like it and you think it's just not worth it, play with it hardcore for the first week or week and a half and return it within 14 days. You get a full refund. So I could do that, and then I could still, cover it on the channel. I mean, I might like it, but it's just, god dang it, man, that's a lot of money for a frickin' phone. And again, I've said this even before, you can't look at it like it's a phone, because it's not. The phone is just an app at this point. At least for me it is. I don't know, maybe you guys talk on the phone a heck of a lot more than I do, but yeah, I talk on the phone a few times a week for a little bit, but my iPhone is basically my computer. it's replaced my laptop. You know, when I really got to do a long typing and stuff, I'll use my desktop keyboard or my work computer. But everything that I used to do on my laptop, I do on my phone or my tablet now. You know, movies, email, shopping, bill pay, blindy stuff, low visiony stuff, reading, tons of reading, podcasts. It's a computer. So you look at it, you're buying a handheld computer for $1,100-1,200. Yeah, it still sucks. I mean, you still think, God dang it, man, that's a lot of money. But, you know, I mean, you tell yourself, at least to help you sleep at night, to go, well, it's basically a computer at this point. If I do decide to do something stupid and buy one. I was joking on Twitter, too, earlier. I said, you know, at this point, if I'm going to buy any of these Apple devices this year, I almost got to do a Patreon I thought about the Amazon affiliate program or Amazon Associates, where you can refer people and then if you can earn money from Amazon. But, you know, half joking, half going, God, well, even if I earn a few bucks back, it would be worth it. So I don't know. I don't know if I have enough viewers to really even do a Patreon. I know other people who are smaller have done it, but I don't really need to. But, you know, a little extra income wouldn't, you know, it never hurts, especially all the crap that I buy to review on this channel. You know, let me know if you're fine with that, if you're opposed to that, if you would like a Patreon, if you would like Patreon bonus specific features. I don't know. I'm just thinking of things out there, you know. But that's kind of a wrap on the Apple event. No iPads, no Macs. Presumably that might be next month. Basically, I hope you've been saving your pennies and your dimes and your dollar bills and your $100 bills, because it's going to cost a few of them to get these new phones and watches. There's some neat stuff in them, but I think if I were more sold on, if they still had Touch ID, I think I'd feel better about the XS Max. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to get one. I'm on the fence. Part of me says I kind of want to upgrade, get an OLED phone. But part of me thinks, God, should I just use my iPhone 7 Plus for one more year and see what kind of, because next year they're supposed to redesign iOS significantly or something. So, I don't know, maybe they'll do something cool with it and a new device. Hell, I don't know. But those are kind of my thoughts. The event itself, pretty blasé, pretty boring overall. I don't need a spec dump. You know, demonstrate to me why you're selling me these things, why you're refreshing them every year. What can I do with it that I couldn't before? Anyway, I babbled more than I thought I would as usual, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it helpful. I may or may not be back for a new iPhone review later this year. Probably not going to be reviewing a watch. And iPad, who knows? We'll see what happens, because I already told you about that. I'm either going to have to upgrade my iPad Pro and give my current iPad Pro to my dad, or I'm just going to buy him the earlier 2018 iPad that came out earlier this year and keep my current iPad Pro. So once I find out more about iPad land, I'll know more there, but probably not a watch. Phone, I'm about 50-50 on right now. So anyway, that's my spiel for this Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed it, found it interesting. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79 or mixer.com/BGFH. We are almost up to 1,200 subscribers, so if you get a few more in there, that'll be cool. We should hit that here hopefully pretty soon. And until next time, hope you guys, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys again later.